Hey everybody, today we're going over the Olaf mid-scope update. This is something I've been particularly excited about because something a lot of you guys might not know because you've been watching me recently is that in the past I played a lot of Olaf. He's actually the 5th highest mastery champion on this account. That's because I really like Olaf. I like the Berserker, I like the Viking, I like all of that. He's kind of been in pro play prison for a lot. They talk about that over here, and I'll go over this post, and there's a lot of updates here, so I'm going to spend this whole video, we're going to be talking about this, going over this. I haven't read it all together, but I have the gist of this, and I'll go through this, and by the end of this video, you guys will get it, so stick with me on this whole thing. First and foremost, I had a poll on what champion you guys wanted me to go over. Olaf won resoundingly over Swain. If you're going to ask, when is the Swain video coming out? Well, that'll be maybe tomorrow, but for now, today we're going over Olaf as long as this takes. I don't really have a set plan here. We're just going to keep talking about him this whole time. So let's go over what they post about this first. Okay, they say, before going to the actual changes, let's talk goals. One common response to the initial announcement was confusion as to why he'd line up next on the list for an update. Well, I could suspect why, but for this video, we're going to be positive. I'm actually excited by this, and I have read some of the changes before I've gone here, and I think they're actually quite good. So we're not going to be negative. We're actually going to be excited about it. Olaf has a number of urgent issues we're looking to address. First, he is and has consistently been the least deeply played champion in League. On average, that is. Olaf one-tricks don't at me. If Olaf is the champion you play, he probably makes up the lowest percent of your games played and has consistently been among the lowest for many years now. That's true. Me and several other people, we've kind of dropped Olaf. He's fun, he's fine. It's just he lacks a lot of things in this current meta, those wow factors. If you make an Olaf montage, what's it going to be? It's going to be Olaf going whack, 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 just out healing people, right? Despite me having literally the 5th highest champion I've played ever, and I haven't, here's what should shock you, he's the 5th highest champion I've played ever, and I probably haven't played him in 3-4 years. So this should tell you how much Olaf I've played in the past. So, sorry, Kitty is being a bit distracting. Okay, so he's consistently been the lowest for many years now. Second, he's a deeply pro-bound champion. His win rate is kept lower than would otherwise be ideal because he tends to take over pro play when his kit is tuned to win games in solo queue. Now, this is something I've always said. Olaf is way harder than he looks. In other words, he's a champion that when you see him being played, ideally, when you see him, you think to yourself, wow, he didn't really do any decisions. That champion's easy to play. And yet he's a champion that can very easily take over pro play, and he's a champion that can very easily be, even in top lane, extraordinarily top tier without people really understanding why. He's one of those champions that can be 47, 48% win rate, and even at 50% win rate will utterly stop the game. That's always been something I've argued for myself. And third, he's been deeply impacted by the system changes this season. Yeah, I agree with that. Even more so than other fighters, putting him in a particularly bad shape with the current item system. With these problems in mind, the goals for this update are to add significant excitement to his kit, remove a bit of pro-oriented power, reduce how easily he escapes dangerous situations with his R, as well as curb how fast his jungle clear can get when perfectly optimized. Yeah. Lastly, this update should help him use Juggernaut items effectively to scale better than before, which should also help him be more resilient to future item changes. For lanes, we're aiming to preserve his ability to jungle while making it more accessible, while significantly increasing his viability in top lane. This part has me excited. Increasing his viability in top lane. They're finally looking at Olaf as a champion who can top lane, not just look at him as a champion who jungles, and then every so often he goes top lane. The changes as of now, he's getting significantly more damage at level 18, going from 127 to 148. That seems to be an update to their systems. Most champions have gotten higher damage at level 18. Olaf used to actually be, he wasn't the highest, but he was at the higher end, but due to 3 years of power creep, that definitely hasn't been true anymore. So he's going up to 148. For perspective, I think Darius is 149. Aatrox is 145, so he's definitely up there with Juggernauts right now. His health is going up per level. Once again, his health was amongst the highest in the game 10 years ago, so I definitely do think that increasing his health to 2360, so he's getting 5 more per level. That's pretty good. Not at the early game. His health in the early game is normal. His health at level 18 is what's going up. His mana per level is also going up in the late game. Nothing to say about that one. So as of his passive change, now here, let me actually, what I'm going to do here to try to make this easier for you guys to understand, I'm actually going to go into the practice tool, and we're going to open that while we talk about the changes to the champion, so I can show you guys visually what's going on with the champion. I think Forsaken Olaf is his best skin. So let's close that, and so his passive is getting reworked. Instead of maxing out at 0% HP, aka when he's dead, it will now max out at 30% health. This one, his passive actually scaled to 99% attack speed, because if he ever got 100%, he'd be dead. You guys get that? So let's go out here and just level him up so we can get all abilities. So you can see his passive, gain 1% attack speed for each 1% health missing. That's being changed, and instead he will get 40, where is it, right here? He will get 40 to 100% at 30% health, and it's being changed so that he doesn't get it all at level 1, he caps out at level 18. So his passive is going to get better scaling into the late game, and in addition to that, it caps out at 30%, so he doesn't need to be at 1% health to get the most out of it. In addition, he's now just getting 12 to 35% lifesteal flat based on his missing health. So at 35% health missing, or at 30% health, he'll have 35% lifesteal. All right, everybody get that? At max HP, he'll have 12% lifesteal. That is obviously really good for Olaf, because that means he doesn't need to use his W anymore to get lifesteal. That's a bit less in the early game. You can see right here it's 16%, but he gets it permanently, and he can just farm forever, which is, yeah, that's pretty good. His Q is now shredding armor by 25 to 35%. I don't really agree with that one, but yeah, I don't think Olaf really suffered against high armor targets, but whatever. The damage is going down in the early game. This is more early game nerfs. So instead of 80 to 260, it'll be 60 to 260, so 20 less in the early game, which is pretty significant. Here's an important one. The minimum range is going up from 300 to 425. Now, the minimum range is the distance that the axe has to travel. So instead of to here, it'll actually travel to about here. That means he has to go farther to pick it up. Now, they've talked about that a little bit. What they're trying to do is they're trying to add more counterplay to him, so that if you're in melee with Olaf, you can juke him more. You can walk, you know, if he throws the axe here and you're here, then you can walk out to here so he can't pick it up. That means that there's more actual gameplay happening. There's more things you can do when fighting him. He's less of a stat check, basically just adding more gameplay to the champion, more things the opponent can't react to. The mana cost is going from 60 flat to 40 to 60, so early game you can throw more axes. The cooldown is going up from 7 to 8, but the cooldown refund on axe pickup is going to 5. This means his axe will have a higher cooldown no matter what you do. Even if you pick up the axe, until you get to the point where the axe goes to 0 cooldown. So in other words, if you get to 50% cooldown reduction, yes, this equals out. But the thing is, before 50% cooldown reduction, at like 40%, I think it's like 33% cooldown reduction, you will literally go to 0 cooldown by picking it up anyway. So this is a nerf to its cooldown no matter what you think. So it's gaining armor pen, it's losing some damage, the minimum range is going up, mana cost is going down in the early game a little bit, cooldown is going up. In total, it's a nerf, but it does shred armor, so that's a buff. The armor shred is pretty impactful, I won't lie. I think probably what they're trying to do is decouple him from Black Cleaver. They talked about that up here, where they are trying to... Let me read this. This update should help him use the Juggernaut items effectively to scale better than before, which should also help make him more resilient to future item changes. What they're saying here is they don't want Olaf in a position where he has to go Black Cleaver. If Black Cleaver is good, then he can be good. If Black Cleaver is bad, then he kind of suffers a lot. I think that's what they're trying to do by decoupling him from Black Cleaver, because stacking armor pen tends to not be that great. And by having armor pen before he gets to Black Cleaver, that means that he's not really incentivized to go for the Black Cleaver. Does everybody get that? Okay. So Vicious Strikes has been totally reworked. You've probably noticed that by his let me make sure I don't become AFK here. By his passive, where's his passive? By his passive getting the lifesteal, you probably assumed he wasn't getting lifesteal on his W anymore. Instead, his W is now a basic attack reset, and he gains a shield equal to 70 to 250, which is that's actually a decent chunk, plus 25% of his missing health for 2.5 seconds. Obviously, it no longer gives lifesteal. It no longer amplifies healing based on his missing health. That means that the lifesteal up here that he gets from his passive is worth a lot less than you'd be thinking. Even in game right now, he gets 16% at level 1, then it gets magnified based on his missing health, so that's a lot. You can see right now it's 16 to 24. It'll be 12 to 35. So he'll get more lifesteal later in the game, but he's going to get a lot less in the early game. That's more early game nerfs. The cooldown is going down from 16 to 16 to 10. So, and the attack speed is going down from 50 to 90 to 40 to 80. So his attack speed on his W is being nerfed, but it will be an auto reset. So you can like, you can see you can like use your W to auto reset, and it gives you that like pretty good chunk of hunk of healing. And then, so what they're trying to do here is add more gameplay. They're trying to make it so Olaf doesn't just pop W and then run in and start auto-attacking people. It'll kind of be like a gore drinker, where, yeah, you can get it early on, maybe you can get that Conqueror stack, but if you save it, if you wait until you're burst, you can pop that big-ass shield. It also seems to make him like ability haste a lot more, and with the less attack speed, one of the problems Olaf has as a champion is he gets so much attack speed in his base kit that he doesn't really need attack speed from items, which severely limits which items he can go. Yeah. Now, worth noting here, and this is important, because Olaf is one of the only champions that doesn't just get, like, healing. He doesn't just, like, heal for number. He actually gets the stat, lifesteal stat. That does mean that Olaf would heal on the on-hit of Blade of the Ruined King and the on-hit of Wit's End. So, particularly by lowering his attack speed here, and by lowering his attack speed on his passive until late game here, that does mean that potentially Olaf might be able to build some attack speed, maybe something like Stridebreaker, and he wouldn't just totally waste the attack speed by just having too much attack speed to the point where in between using abilities he just has too much attack speed. Now his ultimate, now this is what a lot of people are complaining about. His ultimate, and let me make sure that they aren't nerfing it here. Okay, so they're nerfing the resists on his ult, but they're not actually nerfing. Oh, the base. Oh, okay. Okay, so they're now, okay, so the shield is actually getting nerfed before I even read this. Okay, so they've nerfed the shield. Instead of 70 to 250, which I thought was really high when I was reading that, instead of 70 to 250, it's now 10 to 150. So early game, you can't just pop his shield at level like 2 while running people down in top lane, spamming Q using his W shield. You know, it's now 10. So if you shield at full HP, you don't get anything. Even once you cap it out, you shield at full HP, it's 150. So they're strongly incentivizing you to not just press W, run in, and hope you get the shield. You know, you get your W back off cooldown before you die. They're trying to incentivize you and trying to not make you do that. The missing health component now caps out at 30% remaining HP. Okay, so that's a bit odd. So basically he gets 25% of his missing health as a shield, but basically you can't be at what? Okay, so basically what this change is doing, they're making it so if you're at 1% health, you can't shield anymore. So basically between well, 50% HP and dead, once you start going below 25% HP, you're not gonna be able to shield. So if he's at 1% HP, he can't pop his W and then shield because it'll cap out at 30% of his remaining HP. If he's at 1% health, he'll only be able to heal 0.3% of his health. If he's at 10% health, he'll only be able to heal 3% of his health. So what this change is doing, I guess they're trying to incentivize Olaf to press this at like half to 30%. Well, even if you're at 30%, you'd only be able to shield 9% of your health. I'm not sure I like this change. Yeah, this is pretty dumb. Because even if you're at half health, then 30% of your remaining HP, that's only 15% health at half. Boy, that's a huge nerf. That kind of, ugh. Okay. Okay. Huh. Well, Olaf having a shield is a bit weird anyway, so okay. Not the biggest deal. I guess they're trying to incentivize you to then shield at like half and keep your health at half with your healing. Not to try to get to low HP and then change shield, I guess. I'm not really sure. Okay, so his ultimate, let's talk about his ultimate then. Okay. If you hit a champion with his basic attack or reckless swing, it now extends the duration of his ultimate to 2.5 seconds. Olaf can refresh Ragnarok indefinitely. He can literally perma-ult, so he can press his ult, and so long as he's attacking someone, he will keep refreshing it to a 2.5 second duration. Now, that's not a long time. 2.5 seconds. If I'm here to here, that's 2.5 seconds. So if I'm even trying to run like this, it's gonna time out. A lot of people seem to be overreacting to that. If I'm in melee beating your ass like a Juggernaut should be, then yes, it'll go ultimate. It'll go infinite, right? If I'm not, if I need to chase even slightly, it'll turn off. That means that if I'm caged by Vigar and I pop my ult, I might not reach Vigar until it times out. With a 3 seconds duration, yeah, so they're trying to incentivize Olaf to actually get into range and ult, not just pop his ult, pop ghost, and then just huff and puff and run people down really fast. It also means that Flash has way more viability on him. So he no longer loses his bonus resistances for the duration of the cast either. So that, although I did see down here that 10 to 40 armor and magic resist, you don't lose that on your ult anymore. And that's very impactful because particularly against mages, Olaf basically couldn't pop his ult because if he's popped his ult, mages would one-shot him. The AD bonus, they're also toning that down. Instead of 15 to 25 plus 30% AD, it's 10 to 30 plus 25% AD. I really think they should just make that like Aatrox, where it just goes 20 to 40, because 10 plus 25% AD is super large, even at rank 1. If they're trying to push Olaf to be more late game, I think that, yeah, they should probably just remove the base and just make it 25 to 35, right? Wouldn't that make more sense? Yeah, and so that's basically the entire kit. So the kit is his W's got that longer range. You pop the W, you get the big shield, but you get your attack speed and you get your lifesteal and your passive. So you don't need to activate your W. Your W is more like, oh, I got the low HP. Then you pop that W, gain that huge attack speed, which, you know, you've got lifesteal, and then you gain the shield and you start beating people's ass. Maybe you pop your ult. Maybe they burst you down to half. Maybe you're fighting a Riven and she jumps at you and stuns you, and then you just go boom and you pop your ult and you pop your W and she can't stun you. Whack her with the Q and you start running her down and she can't stun you, and, you know, blah blah blah, and you keep the armor and the magic of the suit. Basically, like if I'm fighting I don't know, a Malphite, and I see Malphite right about to ult me, well, in the past you'd think to yourself, man, do I really want to lose my 40 magic resist? He might just kill me. But now you can ult right before the CC hits you, reducing the damage, and then run into people and murder them. And that's pretty impactful. And the W being usable at half HP, although I'm not sure about that 30% remaining HP thing. That seems a bit low. Maybe if it was like half of remaining HP, because if it was half, at the very least, if you're at half HP, you could still get 25% of your health, right? Although no, it's not even that. I don't know. I don't know what they're going for. I don't really know what they're going for. It seems weird. It seems weird and janky because it basically gives you nothing at high HP, gives you nothing at low HP. You want to be like right between here with that change, and no other shield, no other mechanic works like that. I guess it's unique to Olaf. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that. So far with this kit, the things I'm not really a fan of are the armor shred on his Q. It seems way too much power is going into that armor shred. Maybe if it was like 25 tops, so it was like maybe even like 15 to 20, maybe 10 to 20. I don't like, Olaf already has the E spam, right? Like he already E spams true damage, and even to this day, at rank 5, tanks are going to be taking 1,000 plus true damage pretty quickly from that. So if you're playing a tank, it's not like you can tank Olaf, right? But now he shreds your armor for his entire team. Not only is that kind of a pro play buff because, oh, we're against Sejuani, let's just call in Olaf. And how does Olaf destroy Sejuani for his team? He lands a single axe which shreds their armor by 35%, right? Like, oh, that's how you beat Sejuani? Like, you don't go Trundle anymore. Trundle effectively gets power creeped out of being the anti-tank in that role. 35%, that's just too much, right? That's just too much. If you're going to trim power, remove, or at the very least significantly reduce this cap out mechanic, and then trim this armor shred, make it like 10 to 20%. That would disincentivize him from going Black Cleaver. That would give him armor pen on his own, so he wouldn't be so attached to Black Cleaver. But it wouldn't make 35% armor pen. That's just too much, right? That's just too much armor pen. Even 15 to 25% would be fine, but 25 to 35%, it's clear that's going to be a big issue for him. It's clear. We're going to see janky builds. We're going to see, I don't know. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this, actually. The Q getting more minimum range, I'm sure it's going to be like really fucking annoying that you're going to have to like walk like that to pick up your Q, right? It'll probably be the minimum range, if I had to guesstimate, would probably be like that. That's going to be really annoying. But the thing is that with all these other changes, obviously you give him more gameplay, right? You give him more cool things he can do. And I think that's good. The cooldown on his Q going up, that could be a bit frustrating because like if you miss an axe or you have to go pick it up, like you're not getting that Q for a long time. As a whole, they seem to be incentivizing you to spam the shit out of ability haste, which is you know, whatever. I like getting the lifesteal at level 1, being able to lifesteal on the minions level 1. That makes him far more resilient to range spam. That makes him far more resilient to getting poked out by things like Riven, stuff like that. And definitely this ult change, dude, his ult going permanent, I mean, isn't that what everybody wanted from Olaf, to actually be a juggernaut that can destroy juggernauts? Imagine you're destroying an Alawi or Darius, or imagine you got on top of a Kennen and you can just infinitely beat his ass. That's just cool. I don't care what you say, that's just cool. The only issue I have here so far is I haven't really detached him from Ghost. I'm not sure about that. And also, I think the 2.5 seconds on his ult going infinite might be a little bit too low. I know it's really powerful, but I think they should push it to 3 seconds infinite. Maybe even go 3.5. The problem is that, like, time it, right? If I throw this, it's over. Like, that's just too short. You ask me. Basically, and it's over. If I'm fighting a Graves or something like that, if I'm fighting somebody who can just gap close away, I mean, that's just not a lot of time. In fact, it basically feels like he's more attached to Ghost now, because he has more reliance on staying in Ghost and being able to actually run up to people before his ultimate runs away. Alternatively, maybe push the cooldown on his ult down, maybe like 90 to 70, so maybe like 80 to 60? I don't know, it just feels really weird that an ult like that can time out so easily. Riven just gap closes away 3 times and you have to chase after her, but merely by chasing after her, it times out and then she can turn on you. Like, I know it's a big play, big ultimate, you know, whatever you want to call it, but I don't know. And that's about it. I actually really like these changes. The W shield looks cool, a little bit constricted, but cool. I like the W shield. I like the idea that he's supposed to, you know, he runs up, he kind of plays dumb. He's like, oh, okay, you know, I'll do this. And then he kind of gets burst down. He goes to half HP, and then he just goes, boom, he pops both. And of course, the question will be like Tryndamere ult. If you pop it too late, you don't get any shield. If you pop it too early, you don't get any shield. If you ult while they still have abilities and can cut you out, then your ult runs out. You know, and they're keeping the kit, they're keeping counterplay. I just think the minimum range on his Q being increased in combination with his ultimate getting some, I feel like he's gonna have a little bit too much counterplay. I can imagine some champions, like definitely 80 carries, they're just gonna escape. They're gonna use their escape move into Gale Force, and even if you hit them with an axe, even if you catch them, well, they've timed out your ultimate, right? They've timed out your damage, and now you do significantly less damage. Another thing I think Red should potentially look at is make his Q, like, if you're gonna go 60 to 260, maybe just push it down even farther. Maybe just make it 60 to like 220, and then just give it a higher AD ratio of like 1.25. That would incentivize him to actually build more damage, which I think is a good thing. Definitely. If in pro play, one of the things that Olaf has definitely had an issue with is going way too tanky, building like 1 damage item into full tank, and then just being his tank's front line. So that would be my critique here, but other than that, yeah, I really like it. I like the base damage is good, the health is good. I really like his health going up because, again, one of the problems with Olaf is that in the past, he was one of the tankiest champions in the game, but it's been 10 years, and he's no longer even nearly as tanky as he used to be. Even, I mean, I would honestly maybe even push this farther, maybe even go to 110 health per level. Maybe push him up to 2400 HP. Remember, this guy had this much HP a long time ago. And power health, like the amount of health in the game has definitely gone up. I don't think Olaf is even in the top 20 for health anymore. So yeah, I think definitely maybe go with the health, and definitely if you want to trim power to give him what I'm saying, trim off this armor shred. This is too much. In my opinion, tanks are already suffering. Having Olaf being able to destroy a tank, he can obliterate Malphite by doing this. He just does this in a team fight and Malphite is obliterated. That's just stupid. That doesn't sound fun or appealing to anyone. I don't like that at all. I think that's actually straight up a bad decision. And that's it. Actually, as a whole, I like this. Yeah, I like this. So that's the Olaf rework. That's me talking about the Olaf rework. I hope you all enjoyed this and know more about Olaf. So thank you, everybody. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. If you want me to do these Swain, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Special shout out to my Patreon supporters. Let me try that again. Special shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure to join my Patreon. The link is in the description. And special shout out to my YouTube members and everyone who likes and subscribes to this channel. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. And come back tomorrow.